In this Chapter 3 video, we are going to use the work we did in Chapters 1 and 2 as an on-ramp into multi-core analysis. Going back to the model we've been working on, what would happen if I clicked the green arrow run button to run this model one time? Well, the answer is that it depends on whether or not this analysis manager block is present in the model. Since it's present in the model, let's just do a quick review of what this block does to influence the replication in ExtendSim. So when we click this green arrow run button, we'll use the factor values that have been defined on this page at the beginning of the run to update the model in the database. Then the model will progress and proceed into completion, and at the end of the replication, the responses that have been defined here for blocks and the database, the values in those sections of the model will be grabbed, the ending values will be grabbed and copied over into the analysis database. And again, reviewing chapters 1 and 2, we can look at the results in the analysis database by looking at the database itself or by looking at the UI, the user interface that we've defined here on the results tab, which is basically just an interface into the analysis database. Okay, that's all fine and dandy and simple enough. But let's throw another wrinkle at this story. What happens if we go to the Run Simulation Setup menu and instead of running just one replication, we decide we want to run 200 replications? Historically, there would not be another decision to make. You just set up your 200 runs and then click the OK or the OK and Run button. If you clicked OK, you just click OK and then you'd click the green arrow Run button, and those 200 replications would be executed on your one instance of ExtendSim running on one core on your computer. However, now we have another option for you in the 2024 R1 release, and that is the multi-core analysis stuff. So what does that look like? If we click this button right here, it will open the multi-core analysis block. And that block comes from the analysis library. Clicking this button tells ExtendSim to grab this block. If it doesn't already exist in your model, it will grab this block and stuff it into your model and then open the dialog. If the block is already in your model, then the dialog just opens. And by the way, we're actively suppressing the location of this block just to keep it out of mind, out of view. The primary interface is just to click this button. We've done that because in a future release, we plan on integrating this block multi-core analysis code into the ExtendSim application itself, in which case, eventually there will not be a block to run the multi-core analysis. It'll just be run at the app level. So looking at the interface in this block, before you click the Run Multi-Core Analysis button, you'll decide how many instances of ExtendSim you want to run your replications on. And then you will define the total runs. And in this example, we want to do 200 replications. I'm going to stick with 2 instances, child nodes of ExtendSim for the sake of simplicity. So let's look, before I click this run button, let's look at a diagram to understand better what's going on here. We have an ExtendSim head node, and that's the instance of ExtendSim that you launched by hand with your mouse explicitly, and then that's the instance of ExtendSim from which you will start a multi-core analysis experiment. And when you use this block and you click the Run Multi-Core Analysis button, this block will, under the hood, automatically open up the child nodes for you. It will, in the head node model, it will make sure that your model has the updated input values for your factors. That's defined in the factors tab here, just like in single core. So just like in single core, in multi-core, first your model will get updated with all these input values. Then the model will get saved, okay? And then we will make copies of the model. The number of copies equals the number of child nodes that you want to run your experiment on. So in this case, we'll make 2 copies of the model after the input values have been updated. Then we will open 1 copy in each child node. The head node will do that, and then the head node will instruct the child nodes to run replications. Now, at the end of a particular replication, the head node will grab the results from the child node and bring them back to the head node and stuff them into the analysis database. So the question of which results will be grabbed from the child node model are again defined in the analysis manager, right? So whatever responses you declared in your model using the analysis manager, those will be the results grabbed from the child nodes. And then finally, once all of the replications have been executed in the child nodes and all of the data has been brought back to the head node and stuffed into the analysis database, your experiment will be over and you will be able to view the results either in the analysis database or in the analysis manager through the results tab. So what we're really trying to do here is make it so that there's no difference in terms of execution or the kinds of results you get back or what else you have to do with your model. You shouldn't have to do anything special to prepare your model for a multi-core analysis experiment, right? If you've been using the analysis manager block to do your single core runs or replications, then the only thing different that you have to do when you're ready for multi-core is just click this button, open the dialog, figure out how many child instances you want, and then define the total runs, and then click Run Multi-Core Analysis. So let's see that in action. I think that will help. So let's hide this navigator bar. Let's make ExtendSim smaller. Now, if you hover your mouse over ExtendSim on your taskbar, you'll see that there is 1 instance of ExtendSim currently up. But when I click this Run Multi-Core Analysis, we will create the 2 child nodes. And so I'm going to hover my mouse over here. You'll see the first child node. I'm going to call it up and pull it over here. And then we'll see eventually the second child node. There it is. I will call this up and bring it over here as well. And then I'll go back to the head node. So this is the head node. It's giving you, this table is giving you an update of what the status of the child nodes are. Right now we're opening a copy. We're opening the copy here in this child node. We're not running in child node 1 or child node 2. Now we're starting the run, as you can see, in child node 1, and we're starting to run in child node 2 as well. Now I'm going to let this experiment run through the first 2 replications to completion. And then I'm going to stop the experiment midway through the second round of replications. So at this point, we have completed the replication here in child node 1. We've completed the replication child node 2. Right now, the head node is grabbing the results back from the child nodes and starting the second round of replications. What I'm going to do now is abort the experiment I won't stop after the current replication's finished. Rather, I'm just going to stop it now. You see that the model stopped and that we're actually trying to exit gracefully out of this experiment. And it tells me, hey, we just aborted 2 simulation runs. I'm going to click OK. And we fully completed 2 runs and we aborted those other 2. And we now have the option to view the results. So when I click this button, the dialog in the multi-core analysis button will close and we'll open up the results tab on the analysis manager. Okay, so there we are. And here's our experiment. Now, if we look at the replication history, we fully completed 2 replications, and then we managed to get results back from one of the aborted runs. And so if we assume we don't really want these results here, what we can do is, and we can see it's aborted here, right? We can click on this and select all the aborted, which checks this box here. And then I'm going to click delete selected. I'm actually going to remove all the results from that aborted run. So when we aborted that run, we still went out to the child node and grabbed whatever results we could. Okay. And now we're back into the same kind of user interface that we showed in chapters 1 and 2, right? We can see what the block responses were. We can see the response composite. So here's the response composite. Here's the 2 replications that ran on the 2 different child nodes, replication information, and then here are the factors and the associated responses. So that's multi-core analysis in 2024 R1, pretty much in a nutshell. There are a couple of caveats that I would like to make. How much time you save running multi-core will depend on how long your model takes to run, because there's some overhead with launching the child nodes, making the model copies, opening those copies up in the child nodes. All that takes time. So if you have a model that runs in 2 seconds, you'd most likely be better off running your replications in single core mode. However, if you have a model that runs in an hour, then you would definitely save significant time running your experiments in multi-core analysis mode. Okay, so there's one last point I wanted to make about more generally parallel computing with ExtendSim in 2024 R1. What I showed you was the automatic launching of the child nodes, the automatic saving of the models with the updated factor values, the automatic grabbing of the results from the child nodes. When you use the multi-core analysis block, all of that is automated for you. However, there's another flavor of this parallel computing in 2024, and that is, let me show you one more thing. So if we open up the multi-core analysis, we have the option to leave these child nodes running. We can close them manually by hand over here, or in the head node, we can actually click the close child node button. And I'm going to close the child instances here. And you'll see if you do it this way, it can take a little bit longer than if you just were to shut them down manually yourself. But there we go. Now we're back to one instance of ExtendSim. What I wanted to point out is we've also enabled the ability in 2024 R1 to manually launch your own multiple instances of ExtendSim. So I've got this one instance of ExtendSim going here. I can double click this and set up another instance. Now, what I could do, one strategy might be, okay, well, this is the ExtendSim instance. This is my head node. I want to launch an experiment, and this experiment could take all day. It could take a week, right? And I just want this head node to only focus on orchestrating the experiment. And that's what we recommend. We don't recommend you do anything else with the head node. Just let it orchestrate the experiment. However, if you want to do other ExtendSim work, you have the option to launch another independent instance of ExtendSim, right? So, and here you can build models, you can write ExtendSim code, you can do whatever you want. Heck, you could start another multi-core analysis experiment with a different model. That option is available to you as well. The final thing I wanted to mention about the multi-core analysis block is, in addition to getting updates about the status of the children in this table, you can click on this and see the history of the experiments that you've run, right? I've run 2 experiments for this model, and we can call up those models. So in the first experiment, I can actually open that model copy up in the head node. And then the question is well, where are these experiment models getting saved? So let me show that to you now. Let's open up the model that I have, the place where I have this model saved is here. So this is video.mox, and this is video. This is the location. The multi-core analysis block will automatically create a folder inside the directory where your model is located, and it will store every time you click Run Multi-Core Analysis button, it will create another folder with the copies of your models that get opened up in the child nodes. Okay, so that's what's going on with this table. If you wanted to abort a particular child node, you can do that here, or after the run, you can open up the model from one of those child nodes. Okay, and then, okay, now this really is the last thing I wanted to show you. If you open up the multi-core analysis button and show the multi-core setup, there's some things going on in here that I won't. If you want to read more about this, you can read the block help. That'll help you there. But what I wanted to point out is that we can see from this interface how many cores I have on my machine. In this case, I have 8. You can also see that I've been given 20 multiple ExtendSim instances in parallel for my license. Now, for a machine like this, that doesn't really make sense because I'm not going to get a lot of bang for the buck running 20 instances of ExtendSim models simultaneously in parallel on a Windows machine that only has 8 cores. But the reason I bring this up is for there's 2 points. Number one, if you are current in your maintenance with ExtendSim, you will by default get 4. If you would like to purchase more than 4, you have that option. Now, that comes into play with when you go in here and if I were to type 25 and I click away, I'm going to get an error message saying I can only have 20. Okay, and that actually should have reduce that to 20 instead of 19. That's a bug. Okay, so let's go back to 2 just in case. All right. The other thing that this is that you should note is that this number here will also control. Oh, it wasn't a bug. It will control how many simultaneous instances of ExtendSim in total that you can have on your machine. Actually, it was a bug. Okay. So if I were to manually launch more instances of ExtendSim, okay, because I want to do some other stuff in other instances of ExtendSim on my own without worrying about the multi-core analysis block. These 3 will count towards your total that have been defined in this dialog. Okay, so I think that wraps it up, and yeah, we're done.